Welcome to part 3. This is where I'm just going to witter on and talk about some recommendations. I understand that this video is not watched as much as the others. Totally fine by me. Here are my recommendations. Number 1 is to publish early. There is nothing wrong with you publishing your world and then editing it for the entire month. If you publish a world orb tomorrow, as in February 1st, at the time of recording we're still in 31st January, but if you publish it at some point, you can still work on it. You can still go in there. You can still edit things. You can still save the world. You can still make changes. It does kind of make your entry public to the world, but it's going to be public anyway, so that doesn't really matter. So consider publishing early. Maybe a week before, publish that world orb. And what this means is you won't be publishing that world orb on the last day. It will already be published. All you need to do is that save process, which is a lot faster than publishing. Publishing can take a little while, especially for complicated worlds. So publish early. There's nothing wrong with it. You won't be penalized for it. We don't care if you publish early. In fact, it's something we'd rather see. Once you've published it, just open the world, save as normal. There's nothing else you need to do. You do not need to republish it. It's safe. So publish early is my first one. My second recommendation is finish early. It might be tempting for you to work up to the deadline, but I'd like you to reserve that last day of the competition, ideally a few days before the last day of the competition, for just testing and for feeling it. Open the world. Walk around, make sure everything's good, make sure things like sound is good, make sure multiplayer is good. Sometimes worlds aren't tested for more than one user. Make sure respawning's good, make sure avatars are good, make sure the permissions are good, make sure the sound is good, make sure everything about the world is good. Spend the last day testing. No changes. That way you'll have much better time on that last day because you're just testing. The only changes you make on that last day are emergency changes. Hey, we forgot to set the spawn point. You can do that on the last day. Don't make huge sweeping changes on that last day, though. Do not recommend that one. Next up is, beyond that is testing. Make sure you test all sorts of things. Test desktop, test multiple headsets if you can. Rope in friends, rope in family, get them to test and feel your world. There's nothing wrong with having testers before that submission deadline. Ask them what they think, maybe collect their feedback. If they give you feedback which you then use, drop them on the credits. That's totally fine if you'd like to. Test things like sound as well. I run, strangely, there'll be a video about this coming up soon, but I run on 100% multimedia and 100% sound effects. The reason is because, especially when judging, the reason behind this is because I run at 100% of your audio tuning. If I drop mine to 10%, I would hear 10% of your audio tuning for the world. And so I would expect if your world is polished, that you'd have tuned that audio to make sure that, the sound effects aren't too loud, that the narration isn't too loud, etc. So do keep that in mind. Test the audio as well. Like I said before, test all the headset, test desktop, test everything that you can. Another recommendation here is to just think about what you're doing and plan things out a little bit. If you don't plan, you're going to end up with a failure. Like, be wary of scope creep. Don't let scope creep happen. Don't let features be added. Enough is enough sometimes. You don't need to squeeze every single idea that you've ever had into this entry. You can stop and then you can polish. And that's another sort of guideline or recommendation for me is polish. Could you make the entry better in its entirety? Could you add another feature? Sure, we can always add more features, but what about polishing it? Could you maybe make the texture slightly better of the existing layout that you've got? Could you tweak things? Could you add a little bit more decoration? Something that's not big, something that's not going to take a lot of time. Polish, polish, polish. Think about those big electronic floor polishers that you see in office buildings and stuff. That's what you should be doing in the last week or so. And then beyond that, my last and most important recommendation is to have fun. If this competition is acting like a job or a chore or like a strain or a stressor to you, you're not doing it correctly. You might have the temptation to work 24/7, to pull 20-hour days working your entry. That's not healthy. Please don't do it. If you plan ahead and you don't let scope creep come up on you and you publish early, you shouldn't have that issue. I understand the need to make your entries cool, the desire to want to win, but this is meant to be a fun competition. We can't award prizes to everyone, so no matter what you do, you may not win. So treat it like that. This isn't a job. This isn't a salary. This is a competition where you have a chance to win. So please try and keep that down. Always prioritize your health. Make sure you're hydrating. Make sure you're sleeping. Make sure you're not hungry. Get out of the VR headset. Maybe walk around outside for a bit. Just don't overstress yourself, please, please. That's all the recommendations I have. I hope this series has been informational. I just wanted to provide some really short snippets for you guys so you know exactly what's up. I will be doing 2 more. One is discovering entries and one is voting. The voting one will come out closer to the voting period, though. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.